Hey guys, Patriot coming to you with a long overdue video. This is something that I actually did about 4 months ago, and had some file problems with the video, and never got that video out there. So I just watched what was available, and I took some notes, and I'm going to try to duplicate what I had earlier. But what you're looking at here is the Ruger 1022 takedown. I know that there's a lot of videos already out there about this rifle, including some shooting portions, which I won't have on this one. So if you're holding out for that, go ahead and go watch somebody's shooting video with this rifle. We'll do that in the future, but for now this is just going to be a tabletop. So this is the Ruger takedown. Let's go ahead and start with what the rifle is all about, and we'll show you how to take it down here. I'm going to turn my video screen so that I can see it. The first thing you want to do with this rifle when you take the barrel off or take the forend off is to lock the bolt back, and that's done by, everyone knows on a 1022 this little bolt catches back here, so you want to lock that back. If you don't lock that back, when you twist or turn the forend off, it would put torque or pressure against the extractor on the bolt. Now it's a pretty robust system, but still you don't want to go torquing on that needlessly. Almost everyone who picks up this rifle at first that tries to take it down ends up doing it with the bolt closed, and it makes me cringe. But anyhow, go ahead and take the bolt back first. Next thing you do, pull forward on this takedown latch right here into this recess and give a 45-degree twist, and it pops right off for you. Okay, so once you've got this thing taken down, the rear portion, or the rear half, is going to be the largest portion overall. Let's go ahead and measure that really quick, and we're exactly 20 inches from the tip of the buttstock to the front portion of the stock here. You can see this one, the chamber area actually has some heat treating on it. It's taken a pounding from that bolt, and obviously that needs to be hardened. Most of the time you wouldn't get to see this unless you actually unscrewed the two Allen bolts that hold this into the stock or the standard 1022. Over on the receiver half, you've got an adjustment nut right here. This is very reminiscent of the Browning BA-22, which I actually have one of those. It's a very good system. This one's actually a bit more robust. You just turn this ring here, left or right, to adjust the amount of tension that it takes to twist the forend section back in. Let's go ahead and take a good close look at that now. Okay, with the bolt in the rear position, we just line this up at about 45 degrees right here. Push that in. You can see tension against the lever there, and give it a twist, and you're locked back together. Alright, standing behind the camera here, let's try to give you a nice close view. You can see the way that lug is shaped, and how that works. You can see that the angle cut on the chamber, or the barrel portion, is 45 degrees. Alright, let's move that out of the way for a second and show you the case that it comes in. Some people say that this is kind of the neatest part of the whole package. Let's go ahead and measure this. We're about 23 inches overall. If I can find the top on it. There we go. Splits open like so. You've got a large pocket right here. Let's go ahead and take this down again really quick. Rear half can go there, and the front half can go up here. You'll notice that there's actually another pocket up here. I'm not sure if that's going to be for a future offering. Perhaps a heavy barrel is going to be offered for this. If nothing else, you could put a rifle cleaning kit in there. That would work out really good for the backcountry person. Got real good solid Velcro closures. This case is made in China, but it seems to be built pretty well. On the front half, you've got a couple of pockets. This one's got MOLLE on the outside. and it's got some small, lightweight nylon pockets in here. Perhaps that would be for a BX25 mag. Yep, it looks like it fits. But there's only 2 pockets, so you're limited to 2 mags. Now, if you flatten out the pockets and put these on top, you probably fit 3 mags in there. And yeah, you sure can. You got space for 3 mags. Same would go for this side, or for the top portion. You're going to fit 3 mags in there as well if you'd like. Moving back to the back side again here, you can see that they've got 4 D-rings. This would be really nice for lashing or strapping down against whatever your mule is. Perhaps it's actually a mule, a horse, a float plane, whatever you're going to be tying this down to. Even the outside of a backpack. Obviously that's going to be a lot of extra weight depending on what a person is doing, but there is a place to tie it down. When you have loaded magazines in here and the case is closed up, if you were just to lash this to the back, you can see the weight would actually kind of pull this away or pull it apart. So what I would want to do is just take some paracord and go ahead and compress it right here and compress it right here, especially if you're carrying weight. That keeps this thing from ballooning out and just kind of making your weight load shift around. Everything should be tight, compressed, close to you, especially if you're carrying on your person or lashing this to a backpack or something, which again would be pretty heavy, but I could see somebody might want to do that if they had to hike, say, from their float plane landing area inland a little bit to a camp or something. No doubt some of you sharp-eyed viewers have already noticed that something's missing up front, and that is the barrel band. I wanted to take it off just to see if it would come off or it was part of an integral necessity that had to be on there. And as it turned out, it does not have to be on there. So you can kind of create a nice clean appearance, just kind of looks good aesthetically. It does step down a little bit here, but I don't think it detracts a lot. I hate barrel bands on a 1022. It was the reason that I always liked the deluxe version so much more than the standard version with that band. That used to be aluminum. Now they use a little piece of plastic on here, but it doesn't weigh much, probably a half an ounce or so. Anyhow, I've taken it off. Also, here's something that I hadn't seen in any other videos that I was curious about. I've gone ahead and taken the liberty to remove the screw here and wanted to see if we could take this off. And it's kind of a snug fit, but you can see the fore-end actually pops off once you remove this. Interestingly enough, the rifle is still fully operational even without this on. So you can take off the barrel band and the fore-end and you still have a fully operational rifle. As you can see, our bolt's back and it twists right off. So kind of a cool system. Gives it a little bit of a marlin papoose look when the fore-end isn't on there. Obviously looks are not what's important to us. It's going to be operation. And getting into weights a little bit here. I've weighed these parts and they actually ended up turning out to be a little heavier than what I would have guessed. But they weighed in at 0.37 pounds or 5.9 ounces. So somebody who was really counting their grams and needed a pack rifle, but something that would take, you know, a nice BX25 or a Butler Creek magazine, something that had more capacity than a Marlin Papoose. You've got the Ruger 1022 takedown without the fore-end on it. The benefit of that is that you're cutting the grams. So, you know, you take off these parts naked, the gun is 4.45 pounds. So you take off 0.37 and you're just about breaking into the sub 4 pound category. You're just a hair over 4 pounds. That's a pretty light rig. Not the way this one's set up, but the standard naked rifle. I've got a couple of mods on here that we'll talk about. Okay, I've reinstalled the fore-end right here. As it sits with the scope and this aftermarket trigger and scope mount, it's 4.93 pounds. So we still have a sub 5 pound 22 rifle that takes high cap magazines and is extremely reliable. So we've got a very capable system here. This trigger is about 3 ounces heavier than the stock Zytel trigger. This is a Volquartsen TG2000, I believe it's called, and it's a very crisp trigger. Does add some weight, again, 3 ounces, but the breaking weight on this trigger is very light. It's about 2.5 pounds. So very crisp, hugely increased accuracy over the standard 6.5 pound trigger. Okay, the scope that I've got on here is the Bushnell TRS-25. It's a 3-minute of angle red dot scope with 11 brightness settings on it. You can see that the illumination turret, make sure I'm in frame here, the illumination turret is mounted at 45 degrees, which is very ergonomic, and you can see the intensity level that you're set to from behind the rifle or the shooter's perspective, which I find very handy. So overall, it's a great little test sight, and it's let me extract some very good accuracy out of this rifle. Just to show you something similar to it, I have another one right here. This is the Conus sight, and I can't remember the number associated with that. I guess I can look it up. It's just called the Conus Mini Red Dot sight, and it's probably made in the exact same factory as the Bushnell. You can see that the Conus sits up a little bit higher on the Bushnell sight. I don't have a lot of clearance under here to fit the scope cap, but if I kind of wiggle it in, I can actually get it to clear the scope mount. So it does fit under there, which is important. You got to have your scope caps on when you're out in the field. As far as small, inexpensive red dots go, I really like both of these. I actually prefer the TRS-25 a bit more. I'll do a full scope review or a comparison between these two optics later on, so I try to stay on track here. This gun, you can see, has actually, it's got the housing from this gun, the Zytel housing. Now I've installed a drop-in chimney in this one that breaks at just over 3 pounds, about 3.1 pounds. Has a little bit less take-up than the Volquartsen, but it is a heavier trigger. Overall, I prefer this one in case anyone's curious. All right, let's go ahead and talk on accuracy here for just a moment. I just want to show you the very first group that I shot out of the gun with the optic on it. I did have a group that I shot iron sights before that actually did very well. I don't have it. I don't know what I did with it. In any case, I just kind of lined up the optic or the red dot along the plane of the front sight to get my left and right or my windage kind of dialed in, and aiming at the center, which is just left of that bullet hole. The first shot went right here. I gave it a full turn of the turret, came up here, and then I shot for this number 10 and went just to the right of it. Shot at this line right here, went just to the right of it, just to verify that I was shooting right. I went ahead and shot at this dot and ended up just a little bit right. Went ahead and adjusted my windage over just a little bit. This was at 40 feet. Went ahead and adjusted my windage over, and then I shot this group. This whole group, guys, was shot standing. I moved this out to 25 yards, and we've probably got, I don't know, maybe 1.25 inches center to center there. Just under 1.25 inches center to center for this one, and overall group size is about just over 1.5 inches from here to here. And this was just resting against the barricade, or leaning against the barricade and shooting offhand at 25 yards with this red dot. So the rifle is definitely accurate. Later on, this was on one of my plinking days that I took it out, and I shot this group at 25 yards off the bench, and it's center to center. It's just about 1/2 inch. This is a factory gun with a non-magnified scope. Obviously that's just a red dot, so pretty impressive accuracy. I've got about 2,000 rounds through the gun now, and the ammunition that I'm using, actually the tightest group that I shot was T22 Target, that's made by Winchester, just a box that I've had for a while. I normally shoot for plinking Winchester Super X. I say that right? Winchester Super X. Federal Classic 22s, and good old Walmart Federal ammunition. And everything that I fired through this gun has been 100% ultra reliable. I've also shot a few CCI rounds through there of some velocitors and some stingers and a couple of others, but I think that I had one malfunction with the Walmart ammo, and that was with a plastic lipped Butler Creek magazine. But I've shot a lot of rounds. I don't remember if I've told you yet. I've shot about 2,000 rounds through this rifle as of right now, and I've shot a lot through these Butler Creeks, and the thing runs like a clock. I mean, it's just very reliable. The BX-25s, of course, very robust. You can disassemble them for cleaning. It's a tank of a magazine, a little bit heavier than the Butler Creek, and it's got the steel lips and everything on it. You can see I've got a T-22 target in there left over from that group that I did. But just a very reliable rifle, accurate, reliable, and gosh, this thing's been around since the original design, 1964. So boy, yeah, they've got things dialed in when it comes to the Ruger 1022. Oh, I wanted to speak on the backup sight system. So obviously this gun is all geared around the backwoods hunter, the backpacker, the Alaskan guide, the fisherman, float plane pilot, horseback, campers or hunters. You know, if you're Crockett 20 or Campfire Talk or Nut and Fancy, you could even say llama. You know, they packed in on a llama when Crockett's back was jacked up. He's still getting over that. But in any case, this is you know, meant to be a backwoods rifle. The takedown allows it to, you know, get into a much shorter overall size. That's just very handy for that type of. So given that this rifle is going to be used in the backcountry and a spare sight or something like that might not be available, the parts in a 1022 are very common. There's very few parts that actually go bad on a 1022. You can carry them in one little Ziploc bag if you wanted to. There's not a whole lot that can act up on a 1022. But if you're running an optic, in this case an electro-optic that relies on electronics and battery power, and you're in the backcountry and something goes wrong, I mean, let's face it, Murphy tends to strike at the most unopportune times. But if something does go wrong, I think it would be very wise to carry the proper size Allen wrench with you. I would actually carry two, because again, with Murphy, these things are made in China. You could strip that out very easily. You still have another side here, but still I would carry two. And I would carry an extra 2032 battery. It's the size of a nickel, just a little bit thicker, maybe just a nickel and a half thick. Very small. I was looking at this little cap here, and I meant to investigate that. It looks like it's glued in, but I'll bet that you could figure out how to take this off and take an Allen wrench or two, an extra cell, wrap it in a sandwich of closed cell foam, and stick it inside of this grip if it's hollow. Kind of curious. I'll probably update you on that one when I do the short shooting portion. But that would be really smart, because without this Allen wrench, you're not going to be able to take this off. With the Conus, you do have a nut on there, which if you had to grab it with some Leatherman pliers or something like that, a pocket tool, you could probably do that. Plus, it's got a big large slot in it that you could also remove. On the downside, you can see that that thing sticks out a bit, but again, we'll cover that when we do the scope review. Very good to have a tool to take your optic off, because fortunately, you know, it does have a nice set of iron sights on here. They're flipped down right now, but that flips up like that. With the scope on there, you cannot access your iron sights, so you'd need a way of getting that off. Furthermore, even with the scope off, this factory scope rail sits up just high enough that you can't truly get down and lined up and get that bead, that front bead, nice and tucked in that saddle in the rear sight, just because this blocks your image. Back here with a good cheek weld, this is blocking your image. Now, it would be more than enough to defend yourself or camp security or something like that, but as far as hunting small game, a little squirrel at 20 yards, you're not going to be able to do that unless you take this off. If you use a slotted screws right here, which is a factory set with this mount. All you need is a multi-tool or a Leatherman or something to remove those. So if you're going to go in the backcountry with this type of arrangement with an optic on there, obviously again the risk is higher with an electro-optical sight like this, but even a, let's say, a magnified optic like on this gun, even with a magnified optic, there's still the possibility that something could happen to this. You could drop it on the scope, you could crease the tube with a rock, dropping it on a jagged mountainside or something like that. Something could ram into the objective or ocular lens on this and damage it. So you want to be able to take your scope off. This one's just a little Mark AR rifle scope that I think works really good for the 1022. This one has a slightly different trigger. It's a kid trigger system with a quick release, a quick mag drop system. Tactical Solutions receiver, Mark AR, loophole rings, Volquartz and carbon fiber barrel, and the F&A compensator, the same one that you saw featured in the video specific to that review. And this has all been tuned in to work with the 1022 with the loads that I'm shooting. So, and for those of you who don't think that a 22 recoils, all you got to do is put a 1-inch dot on a piece of cardboard at 25 yards and watch that magnified image move about 6 or 8 inches when you pull the trigger. Obviously, it's not critical on a survival or backcountry gun, but if you're shooting fast and trying to shoot small, you definitely will benefit from a compensator of some type, steel challenge or any other fast shooting like that. All right, we might do something in the future when it comes to optics and talk about those a little bit, especially in the application of a 22 rifle and different uses. If I was going into the backcountry, I would probably set this up with a magnified optic of some type, maybe a straight 4 power, or maybe that little 1.5 to 4 Mark AR, all the way up to maybe 7, maybe 9 power at the most. It's going to be a little bit more reliable, and that's just because it's not an electronic unit. It doesn't rely on electronics, doesn't rely on a battery, and you've got a fixed image in there. You have a fixed reticle that you can see night or day. Well, you can see it at night if you have enough backlighting, and that might have to be accomplished with an auxiliary light of some type, a tactical light or something, but you can utilize a standard magnified scope at nighttime. For testing purposes, I put this on here because it was small, light, compact. I think it looks kind of sexy on the rifle, especially with that silly barrel band not up there. Back to the barrel band. Do you lose anything in durability by getting rid of this? Well, it does fit pretty tight already. It fits pretty snugly against the barrel. It wedges itself down into the channel cut for the barrel. So right now, you can see I haven't even put that screw back in yet. I still have to do that, and it fits on here pretty snugly. So when this is off, again, you've got this thing protruding and sticking out. There's a possibility that it could get damaged or something like that. So if you're using this in the backcountry, you'll have to weigh the benefits versus the handicap when it comes to that. You're going to save a little over 5 ounces, but you could decrease your durability there if something caught on that. I don't know. It's an aluminum block and this is a steel lever, but still, Murphy has a way of breaking that stuff, especially when you need it the most. So with the barrel band off of here, all the pressure is going to be on that aluminum lug and that screw. So if this has a lot of downward torque or pressure, it's possible that it could rip that out. I think that would take a lot of force. But I'm not subjecting it to that. I just took off the barrel band because I think it looks much better. Alright, so we talked on reliability, we talked on accuracy, we talked on the type of use that you would be getting this rifle for. My uses, it's probably going to be mostly a plinker, but if I need something compact that I can put in a nice short case, it's definitely a sweet little rig. I mean, it's a great little machine. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this on there. If I did a dedicated camping or backpacking trip, and was just tenting it outside of the vehicle or something like that, I'd probably put a magnified optic on there of some type just to increase the reliability, but overall I think this will suffice for most people. It's going to be reliable, accurate, might not meet the accuracy requirements of a bench rest shooter or something like that, but the gun wasn't made for that, of course. Overall, I love this gun. It's, you know, I've got several 1022s, and this one's currently my favorite just because it's so unique. Let's go ahead and take that apart again. Bolt back. That quick, guys. Quick and easy. Just a really neat system. You don't want to over tighten this. I've seen a lot of these new out of the box, and some are adjusted a little tighter than others, but you're actually better off with it not over torqued. If you can get away with the thing just a little bit less tight versus where you really have to crank it and snug that thing down and make it click. If you're doing that, if you're really having to crank over on this thing to snug it down, you've got it too tight. It doesn't need to be that tight, and I've proven that through my own testing, where I've had this barrel on and off a whole bunch of times, and I don't think that the point of impact shifts more than a 1/4 inch at 25 yards. I mean, it's very consistent. At 50 yards with good ammunition, this is a 1 inch, 1.25 inch, maybe an 1.5 inch gun, even with, you know, this kind of ammo. It's a 1.5 inch gun at 50 yards, so pretty impressive. And that's with that optic. If I put a 7-power Weaver or something on there, obviously I could extract a little bit more. So very impressive little system. I'm really enjoying it, and we're going to work on getting a shooting portion out there for you. Right now, I can't take it out. I could take this to the indoor range and shoot it for you. But I'd really prefer to take this outdoors and shoot at some steel targets and shoot at some different, some reactive targets of some type, so that you guys can enjoy. Right now, the fire restrictions are prohibiting us from going out and shooting this, so we're just going to have to wait for those to lift, and then we'll take it out and I'll show you what it can do. So guys, thanks for watching, and appreciate all the views and comments, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Patriot out.